make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I want to know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I want to know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Well, Uncle Jesse, what do you think?
I think you boys are asking for trouble.
Oh, come on, Uncle Jesse.
Trouble!
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Straightening the curves, flattening the hills. Someday the mountain might get them, but the law never will. Making their way the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law will allow. Just a good old boy, they wouldn't change if they could. Fighting the system like a true modern day Robin Hood.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to my Monday night show. Unfortunately, most of the stuff that I had planned kind of like bounced off of YouTube. So I tried to upload some clips last minute. That's why I'm a little bit late. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get them up here. So just have to tolerate me for a little bit. Anyway, Dukes of Hazzard. Okay. I know there's a bunch of people that are kind of like, oh, that hillbilly show, you know. It's very distinctly Southern, very distinctly rural area. And it was, I think it was probably caught up in the rural purge, as it were. Around around the mid 80s. You know, there was an earlier one happened in the 70s. But there was another one that happened in like the mid '80s. Okay, and every once in a while, Hollywood would just divest itself of just about every single uh like sitcom, every single show, every single output that had anything that was appealing to country people. And the way they would pass it off is, well, we are trying to reach, um, the broader demographic. But there's some more people living in the rural areas than there is in the cities. And so what they were actually doing was uh they were disdaining their audience. And we think it's a recent thing. We think it's just something like kind of happened the last 10 years or so. But it's just been going on a while. And what happens is that most of our pop culture has been made by the extreme coasts. From LA on one side, Hollywood, and on the other side is New York. And so that's why if you look at how many shows were set in California, how many shows were set in New York, it's it's almost a clean sweep. And it's just basically because they it's like the people who truly understand the American audience, they'll like green light a whole bunch of shows that are going to appeal, and then you'll see the ratings are up, people are tuning in, and then some young hotshot executive will come and be placed in the seat, and immediately he's like, well, we don't need the hillbillies, we need a broader demographic. And they'll wipe away pretty much all the progress that's been made, and immediately everything's urban, everything's bleak, everything's kind of like got a nihilistic point of view. You got shows like Hill Street Blues. That show is I once upon a time, and it depressed me so bad that I might have made it to season 3 maybe before I was like, no mas, I just can't handle this, because nobody was happy. There was no happy endings. There was no resolution to anything that was good for anybody. And so basically, that's basically the vision that the press and the critics were all just gaga over. I mean, they just threw awards at these shows, and you see all their top 10 lists. Just you see all these top 10 lists, and you won't see any show in those top 10 lists that doesn't have a very urban aesthetic to it, right? As a matter of fact, at one point they tried to make Dukes of Hazzard appeal to an urban audience. There was a spinoff called Enos, the deputy in Hazzard County, the guy that you wouldn't trust to tie your own shoes. He kind of goes to the big city, and they made him such a bumbling idiot on the show that when they took him to the big city and he had to be like had to be more competent, then everybody's kind of like, it was odd. I remember being a little kid watching that, going, "That's not Enos. I don't know who that is. That's not Enos." Gave him a black partner. It's kind of like a McLeod setup, where the country law enforcement officer comes to the big city and teaches them a thing or two. Tried and true trope, as it were. But meanwhile, this show Hazzard Dukes of Hazzard, has still has a anytime they do the fan fest or whatever, it's packed out. It's absolutely packed out. Still to this day. I've seen you can go online and watch any recent videos of the last fan fest that they put on, and there's lines everywhere. And so it's like, okay, elephant in the room. Outside of the first season, the show was horribly written. Okay, it was formulaic. And it was just very tropey, very corny in a lot of ways. And they knew that. They knew that. I mean, you had Saul Book, who was playing Boss Hogg, who was a Shakespearean actor, and then you had Denver Pyle, who was no slouch himself, playing Uncle Jesse. James Best was trained by Lee Strasberg. Okay, James Best was nothing to sniff at. Okay, and pretty much all the character actors, the best characters of the day, would come onto the set. And yet, Sorrel Book, when he went to the fan meets, he would go as as a Boss Hogg, and he would stay Boss Hogg the whole entire time. You see that there's a get together. It's called the Reunion Barbecue. It was a special edition on one of the DVDs. I just watched it a little while ago, but they said he loved it so much that he would play Boss Hogg everywhere. He just loved the connection that he had with the fans. And so this whole idea, the reason why people disdained Dukes of Hazzard was the whole idea that, art has to be, sophisticated. Art has to be, approved by critics. And you see this over and over again, where the things that are most beloved are the things that, in hindsight, you go back and watch it and you're kind of like, that's goofy. That's really goofy. But then again, you're going to ask for their autograph. If somebody drives by with a General Lee replica and plays the Dixie horn on it, which my stepbrother actually had one for his truck. So yeah, those things exist. But the thing about it is it just represents a kind of a lightheartedness, okay? And it was more of a Robin Hood story. I mean, you see it, you hear it in the song. That's the modern day Robin Hood story. And so you got to kind of like, it's a little on the nose, okay? The Sheriff of Nottingham, Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane, your Prince John is Boss Hogg. I mean, it's not being very subtle. It's not very subtle. But you love it. I mean, you enjoy it. Of course, Daisy's your Guinevere. Daisy Dukes. Anyway, story. Catherine Bach, when she came to audition for the role of Daisy, when she got there was a whole lot of actresses ahead of her. They were experienced than her, and so she's trying to think of what she could do to set herself apart. And then she had this eureka moment. And so she asked for some scissors, and she went into the bathroom, and she cut her jean shorts to basically a bikini bottom. And she came out, and so when it was her time to audition, she pretty much came through the door. And they were kind of like leaning towards a blonde hair beauty, kind of corn-fed beauty. But when they saw Daisy or saw Catherine Bach come through the door and those Daisy Dukes, they were all like, I mean, come on. And so that was just the spur of the moment thing, as Catherine Bach knowing her best assets and doing her best to kind of like play off of them. 1 second. Let me see who won my my vote. It should be closed out by now. 1 second, guys. There it is. All righty. Let's see who won my vote. I had Heather Thomas, Heather Locklear, the Heathers, and Catherine Bach. So let me see here. Let's see what the vote turned out to be. Okay. So out of one vote, only one person voted, and they voted for Catherine Bach. So, all right, no big deal. Weird. I had like 5 reposts and 6 likes, but nobody voted. That's just weird. Oh well, it is what it is. But Catherine Bach won. It is what it. There you go. So the show, most people don't understand that the show was actually it's basically it's basically the television version of a movie called Moonrunners that came out, and it also kind of had like elements of Smokey and the Bandit, because Smokey and the Bandit came out and was just dominant in the and so basically they took this idea of Moonrunners, which was Moonshiners, and modern day, kind of like outlaws or whatever, but just some good old boys making shine. Okay. And then they took the idea of Smokey and the Bandit, and they're like, okay, well, let's add in these cases, with cops chasing, giving chase. And so they kind of added that all up, and they made this interesting, sprinkle in a little bit of Catherine Bach in tight, short shorts, and get some handsome young men, Tom Wopat and John Snyder, and bring in a couple character actors, that are solid. Denver Pyle, everybody knew him from Andy Griffith, knew him for several of the projects, Sarl Book, and James West to kind of like submit the whole thing and kind of keep it ironed out and nailed down. Bring in a goofy, a struggling comedian named Sonny Schroyer to play Enos, and you got a show. Now, let me see here. Now, the thing about it is if you go back and you watch, nobody's really menacing. Okay, Boss Hogg is corrupt. Okay, there's no doubt about that. He's money grubbing and corrupt, and the boar's nest his lair. You got Roscoe, and and Roscoe's his right hand man with his bat hand flash. But the thing about it is there's not an element of danger there. People come in from like outside that are kind of dangerous, and there's some. The first season kind of had more menace, but after the first season, they moved it to kind of like a family, primetime hour, and so a lot of the edges got taken off of it. So they don't give kids nightmares or terrify anybody, and it just kind of like niche. But we talk about the show kind of represented country folk. It kind of represented the wild and wooliness of rural communities. I know of about 5 people off the top of my head who may or may not have know where you can get moonshine. I know a few people off the top of my head that can tell you where to find weed because it's still not legalized, but somehow they know where the hookup is. And so you got that, and you got love fast cars, and they still drive them crazy in the back roads. And so people from rural areas watched this show, and it resonated. It just resonated with them. And so it became the biggest show on television at one point. The absolute juggernaut. I would watch The Incredible Hulk, Bill Bixby, Incredible Hulk. I'd watch like Dukes of Hazzard and then Incredible Hulk on Friday nights. That was a Friday night block, as it were. Because we didn't have school the next day, so we could stay up a little later. But so I have all sorts of great memories of it. Now, there's a commercial a couple years back that came out. It's a Drive Time, I think. But when I saw this, I had a big old grin on my face. Here you go. Watch this. Is it playing? Nope, it's not playing. So.
Just a good old boy.
We still got it, cousin. We still got it.
I'm not so sure about our old friend here, though.
Police cars just a lot faster than they used to be.
That is why I am an auto trader. Oh, look out!
Sure could use one of them backup cameras right about now.
Auto Trader lets you search for Bluetooth, trash control. This one even has remote start.
I make sure the door's open.
I think they all do.
Really? Hang on.
Fight the system like a two-day Robin Hood, yeah. Making the way, they're on the way they know how.
Can't seem to shake the sheriff's new car. What was that?
It's an alert from Auto Trader. I just told them what we needed, and they go find it.
They can do that?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
All right.
Hi, Luke.
Oh, hey, Lonnie. Whoa, look out.
Hang on.
Another alert?
Yep, price drop.
That's just a little bit more.
Luke, we gotta get out of this. Save your search. Hand me your phone.
All right.
Whoa!
Now, what am I going to do about my Auto Trader search?
Pick it back up on my tablet.
Oh, that's a good idea. Whoa! Hey, boys.
Hey, Rusty. Fred, we'd like to see this one, please.
Can we get it in orange?
Making the way, they're on the way they know how.
Looks like the Duke boys found the one for them. Thanks to the new Auto Trader. Find your car your way.
Yeah, that was Auto Trader. My bad. Yeah, that commercial made me smile. The stunt coordinator on Dukes of Hazzard still has some of the longest car jumps in the record books, and they did some incredible feats of stunt work. They basically they broke a lot of the laws. They basically turned General Lee into a supernatural being, the kind of like a superhero. I mean, actually had a local guy who got a Dodge Charger, and promptly tore the suspension out of it, and I was given to understand that he tried to jump it over a speed bump. So doesn't quite work that way, my friend. But it just runs really deep. It just runs really deep in this area. But think about it is yes, they were outlaws, but they were like good-hearted. They were actually morally superior to Boss Hog and Roscoe, and they basically, it's like Robin Hood. They're fighting corruption, but they kind of took the Moonshiner angle out of it kind of early on. Like if their heroes trafficking a substance. So so after the first season, they kind of like retired that angle, the moonshine. And there's some things that, I mean, the fact that it's kind of like the A-team phenomenon. No matter how bad the car accident, people crawling out of it, which does not happen. Personal experience talking. But there's also the whole thing with the dynamite on a crossbow, or it was a compound bow. But that they did the whole Robin Hood thing with the bow and arrows. But they would tie like sticks of dynamite to it, and it would explode when it hit the target. First of all, it's been proven that you cannot tie a stick of dynamite to the shaft of an arrow and have it fly. It just does not work that way. Also, it's not going to explode on contact. So it was goofy. There's some goofy things. But at the same time, you had a family unit, strong family unit, and Uncle Jesse wasn't even their parents, but he was he was the voice of reason and whatever. But there was like a lore to Hazzard County that was kind of went back. You had all of Boss Hog's kind of like relatives, but it was just comfort food. It was fried green tomatoes. You tuned in. It wasn't anything challenging. It was like putting on a blanket, a familiar, your grandmother's blanket that she knitted for you, and it was familiar. It was fun. It had enough of a plot that you would stay tuned. Had the balladeer, Waylon Jennings, if you don't know, who would do the narration, and then there was a plot, like a cliffhanger right before every commercial that would keep you hanging on till after the commercial. And it was just the time. It was at the moment in time. Turns out I checked and on YouTube, especially from that first season. I highly recommend the first season. It's just a different show. Uh, uh, that first season. Okay. You want to check out Dukes of Hazzard? First of all, don't expect. We used to watch this all the time. There you go. There you go. Gen X, baby. But don't go into it with high expectations of a complicated plot. You're not going to find that. So don't go into it as like you won't find it. So don't go into expecting anything but a good time. Just it's one of those things you can just kind of turn your brain off and just get go into it. There you go. Right. We wrote a car chase scene with generally jump specifically in mind. Yeehaw! Yeah, there you go. Yeah. We all jump to generally in our dreams. But like I said, don't go into it expect a complexity. You won't find it. These are reality tales, but they're like there's a definite right, there's a definite wrong, there's a definite bad guy, there's a definite good guy. And there's gratuitous. There's something guys they took their shirts off a lot for the ladies, and Daisy was Daisy. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you need to check it out. Anyway, but there was there's just enough familiarity to watch. You watched it and you knew what you were going to get. Now, I mean, there's enough variety that you didn't quite know what the story was going to be, but you pretty much kind of knew that the situation was going to come up. Most of the time, Boss Hog is going to be behind it, or somebody's going to come in from out of town and start causing trouble. And Bo and Luke are going to have to kind of like straighten it out. And, Luke in particular was kind of the brains of the operation. Daisy was some way, shape, or form going to show up scantily clad. There's a couple times she shows up in bikinis. Sometimes she's in a crop top. The Daisy Dukes. She doesn't always wear the Daisy Dukes, but, kind of like your memory kind of remembers her being in the Daisy Dukes all the time. But she didn't quite wear them all the time. But she did wear them more than once. And then, you got the familiarity of James Best, his Roscoe P. Coltrane. The guy was a Lee Strasberg trained actor, but he viewed Roscoe as kind of comedic, and they loved him on that cast. What's That Barbecue? If you get a chance, but there's a story that Catherine Bach tells about how she was nervous because this was her first real big acting role, and she was like terrified, and she was like really uptight the whole time. The first few days. She said she comes through her like the second or third day. I can't remember which one it is. She goes to her trailer, and they're taped to the mirror with James Best wearing just the cowboy hat and his belt, his police belt and boots, and just saying, relax, have a good time. best James, and she said she laughed so hard. She just, it made her laugh so hard. And it kind of, and that was just something that kind of like, from then on, she didn't get nervous. She wasn't nervous the whole day because she understood everybody was kind of rooting for her. Of course, now James would probably be in trouble with, the intimacy supervisor or whatever. But she just thought it was hilarious. But it's like things like that. The guy who was over the stunts, they all knew him and loved him. And he had a whole group of stunt drivers that did all the stunts. And John Snyder and Tom Wopat learned to drive so they could do some of the close-in shots. Ben Johnson, the guy that played Cooter, the ever-present mechanic, actually was in Congress for a little while. Yeah, he made it all the way to Congress. But Sonny Schroyer didn't really do anything. The guy played Enos. The guy played Cletus just passed away last year. He was a good guy. He didn't really do anything after this either. But this show actually went out on top. They just decided that it was done. They could have gone on. Kept going with it because it was still popular. Still had the ratings, but they decided to do another rural purge, and it was on the chopping block. Some little, butthead, CEO came in, got hired, decided that all rural stuff must go. Again, and so that's what happened to all the rural shows that back in the 70s, they all got wiped away. Andy Griffith talks about it. There's a clip of it online with him talking about it. But this was just home food. It's just home cooking. It was something that, you still watch. I still watch the episodes today, and they're familiar. It's just still enjoyable to me. I've been to the Fan Fest about twice. It's in Nashville. It's a little bit of a drive from me, but I've been to it twice. I regret to this day. I had a chance to see James Best play. He lived in Hickory, just 20 minutes from me, and he got into Hickory Theater, and he was doing on Golden Pond, and I had a chance to go see him, and I didn't go, and he passed away like a month or two later, so I missed my opportunity to see him act. One of my great regrets in life. But the thing about it is why would I recommend the show? It just is what it is. I mean, it's unique, very distinctive, and it's a moment in time in this country, and it represents a period in television where people can still have fun, can be lighthearted, could be a little bit vapid, a little bit corny, and it's just enjoyable for that reason. So check it out. This is a Bunny recommend to you with a caveat. Don't go in expecting Shakespeare. Just go in, enjoy what it is. Enjoy what it is. Because what it is. To be beyond what you see. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need to get back to that. We need more shows like that. that are just, they are what they are. You know, they're just there to enjoy. They're just there to be entertained. They're just there to turn your brain off and decompress from the week. We need shows that are escapist like this. And this one, you just happen to escape to a rural community. And they just couldn't have that. They just couldn't have that. But anyway, so check it out. Bunny recommend. Out of the series as a whole, out of 6 carrots, it's about a 4 carat. You know, just you'll know when you watch it if it's for you, and you'll know if you watch it and it's not for you. Because it's so unique that it's not for everybody, quite honestly. But if you can just enjoy it for what it is, you'll have a good time with it. But anyway, so that I guess I gotta play it one more time. Yeah, I have to play it. You have to put up with me. Probably one of the most distinctive openings in all of TV history. But here you go.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Straightening the curves, flattening the hills. Someday the mountain might get 'em, but the law never will. Making their way the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law will allow. Just a good old boy, they wouldn't change if they could. Fighting the system like a true modern day Robin Hood.
Nothing like it. Anyway, thank y'all for coming and checking in. That's hanging out with me today, and just needed to take a little walk down memory lane. The nostalgia is thick. It really is. I wish I could have got those other couple clips uploaded. I don't know what happened to them. Something happened in their parsing or whatever, but they just wouldn't upload for me. I found this out kind of like last minute. I just thought I had everything ready to go, and then anyway, but yeah, check it out. It's free. There's free episodes on YouTube, and for you to peruse, especially at first season. First season's really, really good, really excellent. Definitely worth it. After that, it went kind of family friendly, and it became something different. But that's been Cooper for Telepathic Bunny Comics. Follow the right rabbit, and yeehaw.